Not everyone who takes ecstasy dies, but the drug creates its own kind of living death among its victims. At $30 a pill, it's commonplace in nightclubs, despite the knowledge that it permanently rewires brains, often creating an overwhelming desire to suicide among those who take it. Claire Brady went on a drug raid, with police surprised at the sheer scale of the problem.
What are these for? Oh, mate, you're under arrest for possession of drug independence, which is ecstasy.
This Victoria police team is run off its feet. They didn't expect so many youngsters with so many drugs. Their sniffer dog scrambles.
Right.
Today, their senses are on overdrive.
Right, you're under arrest for possession of drug independence.
Really?
We run the dog around the area where the people are walking, and they screen the free airspace around the people. If they detect the scent of narcotics in that free airspace, then they will sit as close to that person or as close to where they're detecting the odours coming from.
This dance party is alcohol-free, but the ecstasy drug is everywhere.
Do I have to be in the photo?
My choice, it's evidence.
How you going, mate? Come over here for me, please.
And yet another teenager is caught.
Today the main thing will be ecstasy tablets. There'll be a little bit of speed, amphetamines, that sort of thing, and marijuana.
This drug can be very, very dangerous.
Professor John Curry has tracked the effects of ecstasy, how it causes the brain to flood with the naturally occurring feel-good drug dopamine, a short-lived high. The dopamine flood quickly becomes a drought, and when the party's over, the results can be deadly.
It's usually 2-3 days afterwards, and it's an almighty crash where the person has been out, been partying, they've often had little sleep, and then suddenly by 48 hours later they're really, really feeling flat, and you actually may get so severely depressed that you actually can't control yourself. You may commit suicide, particularly if you're a somewhat depressed person already.
The other night he rang me and said he's staring at a building that he's going to jump off. Jumping out of buildings is a big one because you can easily get to them. Stabbing himself, forever hiding cutlery around the house because he has cut himself.
Sadly, this mother has come too close to what experts now call Suicide Tuesdays.
Ecstasy is very dangerous because they're on a big high at the time, and that lasts for a couple of hours, and then they come smack down into a total state of depression, which then leads to the attempted suicides, and you know they feel sorry for themselves because they can see, you know, that there's no hope for them.
Brave and desperate to warn other parents, but too scared of her drug-taking son to show her face.
When my son found out that I was going to do this interview, he was just so angry at me.
Even during a secret interview at a neighbour's house, her son lurks outside, angry and suspicious. He started using ecstasy when he was 14. Now, at 22, he's just got out of jail.
I got like knots in my stomach.
This brain shows the prolonged use of party drugs.
If we cut the brain in half and we will just look at one hemisphere.
The drugs have completely dried up the dopamine section of the brain, exhausting its natural feel-good ability.
It is considered part of the reward circuit, the central reward system in the brain. That is highly changed, the brain has changed.
And this scan of the brain shows how just one ecstasy tablet can leave lasting damage, stripping it of its natural stabilisers dopamine and serotonin.
This is an example. This is in the normal person. That's all the serotonin which is there. You can see here after taking ecstasy there's almost none left. And even 7 years later you can see that there's a problem there because there's not enough serotonin even come back after 7 years.
One tablet, one night, and 7 years on the brain struggles to get back to normal.
They've totally lost it. They've lost the plot.
Professor Jeffrey Rosenfeld is a neurologist. He volunteers at young people's events like this and treats the tragic results of the so-called happy drug on the spot.
It not only can cause a high blood pressure, which then bursts the blood vessels in the brain and can cause a hemorrhage in the brain and a stroke. So they might be paralysed down one side or they might not be able to speak. We've seen young people with that. You think of people having strokes who are in their 70s or 80s, but here we've got people in their 20s and 30s having major strokes. I'm just staggered at the numbers that are coming in. I can't believe it.
Neither can this mum, living under siege by the son she loves.
Very frightening, to the point where you've got to watch where he goes. It's terrifying.
Come over here. Oh, what if my mum saw this?
Let's hope she does.